Are you keen to get started with value betting, but wondering whether Trademate Sports is the right value betting software for you? Well, in this video, I'll be showing you how their software works, how it compares to their competitors, and most importantly, whether it justifies the high price tag. If this video does help you at all, I would be really grateful if you could like it and subscribe to my channel, where I will be releasing more content on profitable sports betting. So, what is Trademate Sports? Trademate Sports is a value betting software, which means that it aims to find and alert you to potential value betting opportunities. A value bet occurs when the odds provided by a bookmaker for a particular outcome differ from what the true odds should be for that outcome. If you're getting higher odds than what you should be, you have an edge over the bookmaker, and you can use this edge to make money. You can find out more about this in my video on the concepts behind value betting. In any case, Trademate Sports offers two types of value betting software. The Trademate Core product is designed to take value from the soft bookmakers, whereas Trademate Pro is designed to take value from sharp bookmakers and exchanges. And you can learn about the differences between soft bookmakers, sharp bookmakers, and exchanges in my other video. However, Trademate Sports isn't the only value betting software out there. So how does it stack up against its competitors? What are its main pros and cons? Well, on the pro side, it supports over 90 bookmakers, it has excellent bet tracking with detailed statistics, it reports your closing line EV, or expected value, it gives you the ability to set and save a staking plan, you can set currencies for individual bookmakers, there's a detailed analytics tool, you can see the odds history available for each bet, there are multiple filtering profiles that can be saved as presets, they have a free 7-day trial, and their Pro product, the Trademate Sports Pro product, is quite unique as it allows you to take value from the sharp bookmakers. I haven't seen any other software out there that allows you to do this. On the cons side, it is quite expensive, and that's really the only drawback with Trademate Sports. It's just the price tag is much higher than most of its competitors. It truly is a premium value betting software targeted at professional or semi-professional sports bettors. In other words, those who are serious about making money from sports betting. It has more features than any other value betting software out there, and I'll show you a few of those features in detail now. Note that both the Trademate Sports Core and Pro products have the exact same interface, it's just that the Pro includes the sharp bookmakers and exchanges in addition to all of the soft bookmakers. Trademate Sports runs entirely in your browser and you can access it from their homepage. When you open up the software, you're greeted with a dashboard kind of page that looks a bit like this, and you can see all of your key stats at a glance here. So for example, you can see your fund growth, your total profit, your average ROI, and the total number of trades. And you can see that I'm getting on average 2.8% return on investment with a total profit of 24 euros after just 22 trades. You can also see your open turnover here, how many trades are still open, and your settled turnover. One thing I quite like is down here you can see a comparison of your actual profit to your closing EV, and that's giving you an indication of how your real profits are going here in blue relative to what your expected value is that you're getting when you place each bet. So while the closing EV should steadily be going up over time, your profits are going to be much more volatile. They're going to be going up and down, but over time they should approach and converge on that expected value, that cumulative expected value from all the bets that you've placed. Down the bottom here, you can also see your bookmaker breakdown, which is just showing you basically how you're going with each of the bookmakers you have accounts with, how much turnover you've done with each of them, how much your profit is, and your return on investment with each of the bookmakers and how many trades you've done. And we can see all this in more detail later on, so you don't need to worry too much, but I quite like this page. It just at a glance shows you basically how your bets are performing and how you're doing so far, which is quite nice. The next tab is the trade feed, and this is where you can see all of the value bets that the software has found for you. And the way this works is that the software basically has a number of filter presets, and this is kind of grouping the bets that it's found for you. At the moment, I've got basically 3 filter presets set up here, and you can see that the first one here is recommended leagues, which is actually coming from Trademate Sports themselves. These are the leagues they recommend that you bet on because they've got a high reliability in terms of the edge they find, and they're more popular leagues as well, so they're probably less likely to be picked up by the bookmakers as unusual betting activity. And you can see my main preset filter here is recommended leagues matches that are going to start within less than 6 hours with an edge over 2%. And the reason I'm going after matches that start within less than 6 hours, and Trademate Sports actually recommend that you should go for less than 3 hours, is because the closer a match gets to its start time, the more money is going into that betting market and the more accurate the odds are. And therefore you can be more certain that an edge that the software has predicted is actually accurate and isn't going to change as the match approaches its start time. So when this one here is saying for this Houston Rockets versus Philadelphia 76ers, it's got an edge of 3.78% here, and because this is starting in 5 minutes, we can be pretty sure that this is quite an accurate edge, and it isn't going to change too much in the next 5 minutes probably. So that's why we have those kind of presets. Only targeting edges over 2% is a good idea, because that ensures that we have a bit of a buffer there. If the odds do drift, if our edge does change, we've at least got that 2% buffer there, which means it's unlikely to drift into negative territory. So that's good as well. You want to try to always have a bit of a buffer there. And then if, for example, your preferred filter preset runs out of bets, you can then move on to some of your other ones. For example, you might go down here to another preset which is all leagues, not just the recommended ones, but the same presets. Or you could do another one over here for greater than 3 hours or greater than 6 hours, and that would show you even more bets as well. So there's all those kind of opportunities. And Trademate Sports they're happy to help you set up these presets, and they actually recommend a number of filter presets for you to try out, which they've used in the past and they've seen success within their members. And of course, down here you can add a new preset at any time, and there's all kinds of settings that you can play with here: bookmakers, sports, odds types, the kind of preferred edge you want to target, minimum bets, and things like that. So all that's possible. Next up is the Game Center over here, and this is basically just showing you the results of recently concluded games. You can see the scores of some of the recently concluded matches here for all kinds of sports that Trademate Sports supports. You can click here as well to see the current scores for live matches as well. And you don't really need to spend too much time on this page, I find, because Trademate Sports basically takes all of this data and then dumps that into the next page for you in your My Trades tab here. And this is where you can see basically all of the trades that you either have live, open, or settled. I don't have any open or live trades at the moment, so we can just see settled trades. But these are basically all the bets that I've placed in the past where the match is already completed. And what Trademate Sports has done is they've taken that data from the Game Center and they've put that in here. So that they've marked this bet here as a win of 37.05 euros without me having to do any work, which is really nice. And that's basically one of the really important features of any value betting software, is that it should do bet tracking, and it should track whether your bets are actually winning or losing without you having to do any work there. It should do all of that automatically. Without this feature, you would have to spend a lot of time checking the scores for every single match you've placed a bet on, which would really slow you down. And would mean that you're actually going to get much lower profits in the long run. So having this done for you automatically is a really good feature. And they actually implement a really excellent feature here that I quite like, which you can see here under Edge. This first number here, this 2.85%, this is the expected edge at the time that I placed my bet. So when I placed my bet, the sharp odds relative to the soft odds indicated that I had an edge of 2.85% over the soft bookmaker. This black number down here is actually what my edge was. It's what they call the closing line EV, or expected value. This was my edge at the beginning of the match. And remember what I said earlier, that at the start of the match, that's when the odds are the most accurate, as that's when the most money has come into the betting market and shaped the odds. So actually, in this particular situation, my edge increased at the start of the match. The edge actually increased at the time of the match commencing. And this is due to the fact that at the time that I placed my bet with the soft bookmaker, the odds were here. Perhaps the sharp bookmaker was about here, which was about a 3% edge. But then as the match started, the sharp bookmaker odds were actually down here, which meant that I got a much higher edge of around 11%. And you can see that the reverse can be true for some matches, often there's quite a small change in expected value. For some here it can be quite, you can see I initially had an 8% edge, but that actually shrunk down to about 1% at the time of the match starting, and it can even go negative as well. You can see here, for example, this one here was at 2% edge and then it drifted down to a negative 9% edge. This one here was 2% and it went down to negative 15%. And if you're seeing consistently that you're getting these kind of changes in your edge, especially a negative change, that indicates that your strategy probably isn't working as well as it should be, and that you need to go back to the trade feed and adjust those filter presets that we looked at before. Perhaps you're betting on matches that are too far out where the edge is quite uncertain. There's not a lot of reliability in that edge, and that's why you're seeing such large fluctuations. Perhaps you're betting on obscure leagues or something like that, where the sharp bookmakers themselves don't really have a good handle on what the odds should be. So your benchmark isn't that great to begin with. There's all kinds of things like that could be causing you to have such large fluctuations in edges. But you can see most of my matches here don't change too much. There was quite a big one here, 6% drifted down to negative 18%. But then this one went from 4% to positive 20%. So yeah, you can see that it does vary quite a lot. And if you click on any one of these individual matches here, you can then just bring up some more details about the match, what the exact score was, and what your stake was, your starting and closing edge, the odds, the bookmaker, all those kind of things, which is pretty useful. And you can also get some information about the various odds the bookmakers were offering before the match in this tab over here. A great thing that Trademate Sports does, and one thing that really separates it from the other value betting software, is that it takes all of this data about your edge at the time of placing your bet and your closing line edge, and then amalgamates all that into this analytics tab here, which is a really useful tab. And you can see along the top here immediately that you've got your average edge placed. This is at the time of placing your bet. I was getting 4.9%, but on average my edge is drifting down to around 3.1%. So my edge is shrinking as the match starts, which indicates that my strategy perhaps isn't as good as I think it is at the time of placing my bets. And you can see that as well on this graph here. If you look at the green and the black line, so the black line, I'll just zoom in a little bit here. The black line is basically showing what our EV is at the cumulative EV, adding up all of the expected value, all of the edges every single time I place a bet. And then the green is actually what the cumulative edge is at the start of the match. This is the closing line EV. So you can see that over time here, especially on this particular bet here, it actually, even though the EV I was at the time of placing my bet was increasing, the closing line EV actually shrunk quite substantially. So these lines have kind of separated a little bit, and in the long run, actually, the EV I think I'm getting is actually higher than the EV I'm truly getting the commencement of the match. And you can see that my profit is pretty wild here, going up and down, but ultimately kind of tracks towards this closing line EV expected value here, even though I've only placed 22 bets, which is very few, but you can see that effect kind of occurring already there. And there's a bunch of stats here along the left about how my betting performance has been going, the average odds I've been getting, and things like that, my hit rate. Average time before kickoff is quite important, as we said earlier. You want to try to keep that as low as possible, but number of trades as well, you want to keep that as high as possible. You can also see further down here basically how your bets are going, categorized by odds. So this blue line here is based on the odds here at the start of the match, the true closing odds. So these are the sharp bookmaker odds at the start of a match, versus how you're performing for that same match, the bets that you managed to get with the soft bookmaker, how your bets are going. So the blue line is your theoretical hit rate. So at odds of 2, you should theoretically be winning 50% of the time. But you can see for most of my odds that are in this range, I'm actually hitting much less than that, only 20% of the time. Whereas for these odds, I'm doing much better. And obviously I've only placed 22 bets, so these numbers aren't really statistically significant at the moment, but the idea is that once you place many bets, you can try to identify potential weaknesses in your betting strategy, and then take that back to the trade feed, adjust your filter presets, keep going, see how you're going here in the analytics tool, and then just continuously readjusting and trying to basically hone in on those bets that are performing really well for you, and try to just get rid of those bets that consistently have poor closing line EVs. This is a really innovative part of Trademate Sports, and it's what really separates them from the other value betting software out there. Most other value betting software just give you a feed of value bets. There's no real way for you to analyze whether you're actually getting good value at the time of the match starting. You don't really have any feel for that at all. You just get fed these bets, you bet, and you kind of hope for the best. It seems to work most of the time, but you don't really have any way of adjusting your strategy to try and enhance your profits and just focus on the bets that are doing really well. And that's something that Trademate Sports does really well, basically no one else out there seems to do. Trademate Sports also has a help center here with just a whole bunch of information about how to about helping you get started with value betting, and there's kind of actually quite a few useful articles here, so I recommend you check that out if you're new to value betting. There's also a lot of information on my website and on this channel here, so feel free to check that out as well. You can also access their Telegram service, which is quite a new service, and that's basically designed to use the Telegram messaging app to give you a feed of value bets. So you can set up a specific Telegram filter preset, perhaps just focusing on the really excellent value bets that are quite rare but with quite high edges and good reliability, and you can get them sent directly to your mobile phone via the Telegram app. Of course, you don't want to be bombarded with notifications all the time, so you want to kind of set that filter preset quite well. But yeah, that's a totally free service that Trademate Sports offer as well as part of this package, which is quite nice. And they also do have a value guarantee, which basically just says that if you place at least 500 bets in your first month of using Trademate Sports and you're still not profitable, they will give you your second month of Trademate Sports for free. So that's kind of quite a nice thing there. They also have a free trial as well for 7 days, so all those kind of things are designed just to make it easy for you to get into Trademate Sports without worrying too much about whether you're going to lose money. They're pretty confident that you're going to be able to make money if you're making at least 500 trades, so they're offering you a second month for free if that isn't the case, and that's quite nice as well. Finishing up, you can see along the top here that you can change your starting and current balances with the various bookmakers here, and whether you're currently using them or not. If you've got Trademate Sports Pro, you can use the exchanges here, and you can set your commission that you're getting at these exchanges, which is nice. Along over here, you can use your profile. You can change your staking plan here, which by default is a 30% Kelly criterion bet staking size. If you have any issues, you can get in touch with the Trademate Sports team, as I've done many times, just using this inbuilt kind of chat here. And I've already spoken to the team here a couple of times, and they've been really helpful. They get back to you really quickly. They're happy to help you with anything, from how to use the software, how does value betting work, what filter presets should I be using. They're really quick to help you with those kind of things, so that's excellent. And that's a nice little added bonus that I think most of the other value betting software don't do. I doubt they'd be so helpful in helping you get started with value betting like these guys are. So that's kind of a major pro for them. So, saying all of that, how much does it cost? Well, there's two main products here, ignoring the Nordics product, which is just for Scandinavian users. But for everyone else, there's the Trademate Core and the Trademate Pro product. And you can see that they are quite expensive, 120 euros per month for Core and 400 euros per month for Pro. You can get a slight discount if you switch to quarterly billing instead. You'll get 100 euros per month here. Or you can save a little bit over here. What would that be? 333 euros per month by going quarterly here. The vast majority of users who have never done value betting before will want to be looking at the Trademate Core product here for 120 euros per month. As they say, this is their most popular product. This is designed to take value from the soft bookmakers. So this is if your soft bookmaker accounts have not been gubbed yet, have not been limited or had their stakes reduced. This will be the easiest product for you to make money from. To get started with Trademate Core, the Trademate team recommends that you have at least 2,000 euros to use as a starting bankroll and at least 10 hours per week to spend on value betting. If this is not you, I recommend that you go back and do some other forms of profitable sports betting, perhaps match betting or something like that, to help build your bankroll to that €2,000 point, and make sure you have enough time to spend on the value betting. If you don't have at least a couple of hours a week to spend on value betting, you're barely going to make a profit after paying the €120 per month fee here, so it's kind of not really worth it. So there's no point in kind of wasting your time. You should look for a cheaper product if you're a more casual value bettor, and you can look at the video on my channel about value betting software if you're interested in a cheaper product. Trademate Pro is for advanced users only. It's a unique product designed to take value from the betting exchanges and from the sharp bookmakers, and it's for those who have already had their soft bookmaker accounts gubbed and they're looking to move on to something else now. The benefit of betting with the exchanges and the sharp bookmakers is that they won't limit you no matter how much you win. Conversely, it is much harder to make money from them as they have much more accurate odds, and the edges that you do obtain are going to be much smaller. This is why you need to have a much larger bankroll to get started with Trademate Pro, and they recommend at least €20,000 as your starting bankroll and at least 20 hours per week to spend on value betting, which is a lot. The edges, as I said, the edges are going to be really small with each bet that you place on the sharp bookmakers, usually much less than 1%, so you need quite a large bankroll to really get much profit from each bet there. The benefit of going with these sharp bookmakers and exchanges is that the maximum betting limits are much higher, so you can put on a lot more money to make up for the relatively small edge that you'd be attaining each time. Again, this is for experienced users only, so only those who have already had all their soft bookmaker accounts gubbed and are quite experienced with doing value betting. Otherwise, stick to the Trademate core product. I highly recommend it. It's actually a really solid product. Hopefully you've seen from this video that it's got a whole bunch of features that the other value betting software out there don't have. And yeah, I think for most people, it would be a really good option for a value betting software. If the €120 per month is too much for you, I recommend that you do take a look at Rebel Betting's value betting software. It's quite a bit cheaper at €69 per month, and they're actually offering a 2 months for the price of one discount for readers or viewers of the Up Academy, which is you guys. And you can find a link below for how to access that discount. That's 1 month of free Rebel Betting value betting software, so that might be more suitable for you. If you are interested in giving Trademate Sports a go, they do offer a 7-day free trial, and there is a link below to access that trial. So please feel free to check that out if you are interested in using Trademate. Anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this review of Trademate Sports. If this video has helped you at all, please like it and subscribe to my channel, where I will be releasing more content on profitable sports betting. Thanks for watching.